I call this the salt shaker. And usually they're not looking at what's right in front of them. They're usually looking at what you're doing, what I'm doing, what Greg is doing, what Oprah's doing, and they're trying to be that. You know, if I could have that team, if I could be in the perfect studio, if I had the right connections, I would do X, Y, Z instead of, you know, harvesting the gold, you know, as Greg would say, 3 feet from gold. Instead of digging for the gold right in front of them, they're looking out there somewhere. And that's what the problem is. When I talk with someone, I get them to come back and tell me what their passions are. What do you love to do no matter what? What do you find yourself up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh, if I only? That's where you dig. That's where the goal is.
All right, guys, this episode is sponsored by Orthos Footwear. Look, if you're tired of the same old shoe and soles that are too rigid or don't provide enough arch support, you've got to go check out Orthos Footwear. That's at orthos.com, ORTHOS.com. Orthos insoles feature a premium tri-level design that provides your feet the ultimate support and energy return while aligning your feet to your body. It all starts with a solid foundation. Orthos Footwear. Well, Theresa, you're a U.S. Navy veteran, producer, director, host, speaker, entrepreneur, trainer, and so much more. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me. And of course, you know, I wanted to join the Navy when I was a little kid, and now we're a Navy house. Our entire company has somebody associated, either we served or we were a Navy brat. So we're a Navy house around here.
Oh, that's amazing. So amazing. I like to kick things off by going back a bit though with my show. Like, where did you grow up? What was childhood like for you?
Oh, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I was born in Gary, Indiana. Okay. My dad worked at the Gary Works steel mill there with Joe Jackson, the Jackson's father. They actually carpooled to work together every day for years. And then it moved me to south side of Chicago when I was 3, and I grew up on the south side. That's where I was. It was fun. I had a working class family. My mother was a seamstress. My dad worked at a steel mill, and I was this crazy kid running around the south side of Chicago.
Wow. I mean, you actually started a business when you were like 10 years old, right? I mean, what was that business and what inspired you to start the business?
Yeah, I started my first business when I was 10, but what inspired me to do that is on my 8th birthday, my dad came home, and when I was in trouble, I had my full name. I was Theresa B. Goss for sure. Okay. But when he was in a great, great mood, I was Kid. And he came home on my 8th birthday and he said, hey, Kid, I got your birthday present. So I'm like, yes, here we go. Yeah. And he said, I'm cutting off your allowance. And I thought, wow, can't wait for 9, Dad. How is this possibly a gift? And he said, no, you're getting a job. And I'm like, okay. And the reason was I was adopted at 6 months old. My parents were older, and they adopted me in their 40s. And back then in the 60s, adopting a child at 6 months old is like adopting in your 60s now. And he was afraid he wouldn't make it until I was 18. So he wanted me to understand money, how to take care of myself, blah, 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 blah. Wow. So he decided I was going to get a paper route. And I thought, I'm not allowed to cross the street by myself. I'm not allowed to leave the block. This is about to be the shortest paper route in history. So his idea was that we were going to do the paper route on his days off. He was off on the weekends, and I would do a weekend route. He would follow me with the car so that, you know, no problems. And I would learn how to ride my bike in the street. Well, see, I got a genius IQ, and I knew that wasn't going to work very long. So we did that for about 3 weeks, 2.5. And then my dad was standing in a butcher shop one day, and he saw, for all you guys out there, butcher shops used to exist. They're starting to come back. Yes. He had this big brown paper that wrapped all the meat. Okay. So Dad said, give me a piece of that paper. He wrote down all of my chores and he put a dollar amount next to it. And he's like, if you want to go to the movies, if you want to hang out with your friends, if you want new sneakers that are not part of school, you have to literally give me an invoice and I will pay it on my payday. My dad got paid on Mondays. And I thought, okay, we did that for a while. And then I realized, as I listened to neighbors yell at their kids for not raking lawns, for not washing cars, for not shoveling snow. So I made a little sign and I went door to door and I said, hey, if you got extra chores, I'll be glad to do them. Well, people really liked it. So I ended up hiring their kids to work with me. And that started my first business. I was doing, odd jobs, and I did it all the way through high school until I left for the Navy.
Wow, man, that is unbelievable. What a cool story of how you got started in that. I mean, you said that you were in the Navy, you served from 81 to 85, I think, if that's correct there. Thank you again for your service there. What was it that drew you to the Navy? Because obviously there's lots of options there in the military. And then what was the transition like for you back to civilization, going from soldier to civilian?
In a way, you never transition back. You're always a little bit there,
Yeah.
and that's just the way it is. But for me, I literally wanted to join the Air Force. I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
And I didn't want to wait. I had to wait like almost a year to go into the Air Force Academy, not thinking that it's school years, just like regular school. And when they told me that, I was like, and the Navy recruiter was like, come here, kid. And I went and talked to him, and he says, you know what, join the Navy, go. And then when you get accepted, you can transfer over. Well, no. See, the Air Force doesn't take prior Navy, and I didn't know that.
Of course.
So I was in the Philippines, thinking, hey, I'm short. I'm out of here. I'm going to the Air Force Academy. Deuces. And then my company commander said, no, you're not. And you're right here, and you will serve your term. And I went, because I went as a non-designated seaman, thinking that a non-designated seaman means that you don't have a job. When you get where you're going, they tell you what you're doing. Okay. And I went in as a non-designated seaman saying, it don't matter. I'm only going to be here for about 8 months. I got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
No way. Unbelievable there. And then you've been in TV and radio for over 18 years. A lot of people get into this thing and they fail or they quit and they just don't last. But you've been very successful. What is it that has kept you driving towards that success throughout those years? And when you hit those failures throughout the time, how did you get through those?
Madness. No.
Yeah.
I actually got in production by accident. I didn't even know I was a producer.
Okay.
Years ago, I created a magazine called Black Insight Magazine. It was the world's first all digital interactive magazine for African Americans.
Yeah.
And back in the day when I was a kid, when the phones were mounted on the walls, you young people know nothing about that. Totally. And you had this super long cord. And if you wanted to talk privately, you stretched the cord out and sat in the closet. Yeah, that's how I grew up. Yep. So back then, when Black people were on TV, my mother would call everybody, girl, turn on channel 2, Black people on TV. And I thought, okay, so we started Black Insight Magazine thinking that nobody's going to see it, nobody's going to watch it, nobody's going to read it. Well, since we were the world's first all digital interactive magazine for African Americans, they told some folks. And we ended up with 1.8 million subscribers in less than 2 years.
Wow.
And people would call us up and say, if I watch this video on my computer, will it blow it up? Because see, it was before YouTube and before all the stuff that we're used to now. Yeah. And cell phones were just barely past pagers back then. Okay. So, it was a little scary. But that's how I got started. And I wanted to have a radio show in there. I wanted to have fashion shows. We had a guy in Washington, D.C. had created a soap opera. And he ran out of money, literally on a cliff dive. A cliffhanger, the guy fell off the cliff at the end of the season and he never went back into production. So for years, people called and said, what happened next? And I'm like, he ran out of money, just figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But somebody told me, you're a producer. And I said, no, I'm a tech geek. I'm a computer programmer. This is what I do. And they said, no, you're a producer. And her name is Anna Maria Davis. And she took me to Hollywood for a year and introduced me to producers, directors, screenwriters, sat me on sets. I was like Pavlov's dog. She would say, sit, stay. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. And I learned all this stuff about Hollywood. And I went, oh my God, I'm a producer. So for 16 years, I pretty much have been specializing in directing and producing talk shows. A lot of local in Las Vegas, and we've done a couple of national. And that's where I was. And for years, people said, you should host. You should host. And I'm like, now, see, I put a baseball hat on backwards. I wear holy t-shirts and I stand behind cameras. This is what I do. And they were like, no, you should host. You have that personality. Well, in 2019, I said, all right, I give. I'm going to do this. We're going to do 5 episodes. They're going to hate it and we'll be done. And we started production in December of 2019. We started airing in February because the rule is in television, you always want to have 6 to 8 in the can before you start broadcasting. And then this little thing called COVID hit. So I called the networks that we were on and said, hey, yeah, you know me, it's T, what's happening? So this COVID thing, so what do we do? Do we just wait until it's over, or what do we do? And they said, look, you can either get us new shows or we'll air the same 4 shows we have until COVID is over. And I was like, well, it can't last that long. I mean, they're shutting down the Strip. My mother said hell will freeze over before they shut the Strip down. So this is going to be over in a week or two. It can't be that bad. Well, we're ready to cross into year 3 of COVID. So we moved it all into my house, and I became producer, director, host, water girl, pretty much everything, sat on the phones. But it became the best thing that could have ever happened, because originally we were planning on interviewing people because we're in Vegas. People come to Vegas all the time. Whoever was in town, we run over to the studio and interview them. Now that I'm doing it in my house, I can interview people all over the world. So I actually found myself interviewing somebody in Wales in the morning and Hong Kong in the afternoon. And it was just awesome. So that's how we got started. That's how I ended up hosting. And to answer your other half of this question, why do we keep doing it? Why do I keep doing it?
Yeah.
I'm crazy. But it's given me a voice that I never knew I'd have. You know, I've always wanted to be on stages since I was a little kid, teaching, speaking. That has been my thing. My family thought I was going to be a minister. So this has given me that platform. And now we're on 5 days a week, you know, so it's fun. We're going to do 300 episodes. We'll be at 300 episodes this year. We'll cross that threshold. So yeah, it's a little nuts.
Come on. And for anyone who's maybe thinking of getting into radio and TV, like what's a tip that you would give them?
Do it.
Do it. Yeah.
Do it. It doesn't matter. You know, I tell people all the time, there's a production company in your pocket. If you've got a phone, wherever mine is, if you've got a phone, you know, now these phones have, you know, theatrical edits on them. You can blur backgrounds. You can do all kinds of things. It's amazing. They're 4K cameras.
Yep.
You know, most people shooting it in their studios are not shooting with 4K cameras, and your phone is a 4K camera.
Right.
So do it. Get in front of it, because if you're not and you're in business, people aren't reading anymore. You know, if you've got a website that has everything about you, but it's all in text, and you're wondering why nobody's hanging around, it's all in text. That's why nobody's hanging around. They want to be able to see you, hear you, you know, interact with you. Do it. And is it going to suck when you first come out? Go back and look at the first 4 or 5 episodes of our show.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to suck. It doesn't matter. You know, I love Oprah, but if you go back to when she was in Baltimore, she wasn't that great. Everybody has to do it and get in a rhythm. And then once they do, they'll find their own path. And then, like we like to say around here, it's just following the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this episode is sponsored by Tranquil Turtle Massage. Tracy over there, the founder, she's a small town girl from Montana, loves God, loves her family, loves her friends, loves working out, fishing, and camping. She has a passion for helping those in need and enjoys being creative with woodworking, crocheting, healthy baking, pottery, and cooking. Look, she began her massage journey back in 2010, where she graduated from massage school up in Anchorage, Alaska. She specializes in her signature massages, the Hanu Infusion and the Hanu Ashiatsu, as well as the gua sha and manual lymphatic drainage. If you're looking for a massage specialist and someone who could get you feeling good, go see Tracy down at Tranquil Turtle Massage. And while you're there, check out CDA Microblading, offering Coeur d'Alene's best tattoo brows, plasma fibroblast, tightening, and PMU services right there in the heart of downtown Coeur d'Alene. Make sure you book your appointment at pnwmobilemassage.com.
And your show that you talked about, that is Expert Talk with TGo, correct?
Yeah, that's Expert Talk with TGo.
Come on. Yeah, people need to be listening to that show. I had the honor of joining you on your show, and thank you so much for that opportunity. It's huge. You know, you and I, we met at Prosperity Camp last year in July, and I'm so thankful that we had the opportunity to meet. But you're also a lifetime member of Secret Knock, which is super cool. And I'm bummed that I missed your talk at Secret Knock here back in September. You know, I was not able to go because literally I got up the morning of to fly out. My wife got sick, and I said, well, I can't leave her for a few days. So I stayed home, canceled my trip there, and then we met back up at Prosperity Camp. But I'm bummed I missed your talk. So what did you talk about? How was that event for you?
Oh man, that was life-changing for me. If anybody hasn't had the opportunity to be in Prosperity Camp or to attend Secret Knock, you need to do it, because it's an event that talks the talk and walks the walk. Usually people say, come to my event. All these VIPs are going to be there. You'll get to rub shoulders and elbows with the best of the best. And then you get there and the best of the best are behind red ropes for 10 minutes and you can't talk to them at all. But they usually have a pop-up in the hallway you can take a picture with. At Secret Knock and Prosperity Camp, I mean, literally Greg Reid, he's brilliant, and he doesn't even give you name tags.
Right.
So he's like, you're grown. Go introduce yourself. So you find yourself standing by the coffee machine or something, or out in the hallway, or sitting at a table, and you go, hey, what do you do? And they go, oh, I started Entertainment Tonight or Entertainment ET Network. And you're like, excuse me, huh? I created, Pictionary, like Pictionary. You end up meeting these people, and they're regular people.
Yep.
At Prosperity Camp, it's in Greg's house. You got millionaires and billionaires sitting on steps on pillows, in their favorite sneakers, just hanging out. That's an amazing opportunity. And to be able to be on that stage, I hope, Greg, if you're listening, I want to come back. I hope I can come back again. But I got the opportunity to sit down with Greg, and he interviewed me, and we just talked about, the power of technology and media, and it connected me with the room. That happened, 8 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And now I go to other events. I'm at Bill Walsh's event. I was in New Jersey the other day. I was in Miami, and people are like, yo, TGo. And it's because they met me or saw me at Secret Knock.
Yep.
It was an amazing experience. I would never, ever change it for the world. And I'd go back if Greg called me at midnight and said, hey, I need you here at 7 in the morning. I'd be like, okay.
Packing up. Yeah, right.
Here we go.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can attest. Prosperity Camp, probably the coolest event that I've ever been to, and been blessed to go to 2 of them now. And just so amazing to be able to connect and network with people that, they are millionaires and billionaires. And I'm walking around going, man, I don't know if I deserve to be here, but these people are amazing, man. And I get to just talk with these real people. Right. And so much fun.
Well, let me interject right there, because one thing I noticed about Greg, he's very strategic in his logic. He's very to the point. He doesn't mess around, and he brings the people in that he wants in.
Yeah.
There are people that I have met that have quite a large bank account that have never been invited to Secret Knock, that have never been invited to Prosperity Camp. And that's because Greg and his team has decided maybe they don't fit right now. I don't know. But if you were there, you were meant to be there.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing about what he's doing. Most people don't take that time. It's whoever can afford the ticket.
Yes.
You want to buy the ticket? Come on in. You can come on in. Greg is more, that's why you have to apply to go to Secret Knock. You can't just go and buy the ticket. You have to apply. So I love that. So yes, you and the most awesome beard in the world was supposed to be there.
That's awesome. Awesome. Now, one of the other things you do is you assist entrepreneurs, influencers in more really in growing their brands and their fan base. When you're talking with entrepreneurs though, and they come to you, what are things that they're not doing to grow their brand?
Usually, and I call this the salt shaker, and I can tell you that story later if you want, but I call this the salt shaker. And usually they're not looking at what's right in front of them. They're usually looking at what you're doing, what I'm doing, what Greg is doing, what Oprah's doing, and they're trying to be that. If I could have that team, if I could be in the perfect studio, if I had the right connections, I would do X, Y, Z, instead of, harvesting the gold, as Greg would say, 3 feet from gold. Instead of digging for the gold right in front of them, they're looking out there somewhere. And that's what the problem is. When I talk with someone, I get them to come back and tell me what their passions are. What do you love to do no matter what? What do you find yourself up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh, if I only? That's where you dig. That's where the goal is.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's so true. I think, a lot of people, they start comparing themselves to other people instead of focusing on what's right in front of them. It's so good. Now, as I was doing my research on you, I noticed and
Uh-oh.
found that you lost 75 pounds in your 50s through doing boxing. This is so amazing. Like, what was that journey like? And what was the motivation behind, going into boxing and doing that versus, doing other just cardio and things?
Well, let me preface this by saying, thanks to COVID, I've gained 45 of that
Okay.
back, and I start boxing again on March 12th.
Come on.
So I have not boxed since March 3rd of 2020.
Okay.
And now I'm going back. So pray for me because my coach is going to kill me.
That's
Um,
amazing.
but I have always been a boxing fan. My dad was a boxing fan, all the way back to Ali and even before him. And I always wanted to learn. I actually walked in my 30s and my 40s in the boxing gyms. They don't want to look at, females in their 30s and 40s. They're like, get out of here. This isn't for, you get out, get out.
Mm.
Well, I happened to interview my coach, Townsend Carter, and he was on one of my shows that I was producing, and he has a program for Parkinson's patients. It's called Dopamine Boxing. And he takes Parkinson's patients, and literally they go from being on walkers and canes and in wheelchairs to being able to catch a football as he tosses it to them. And he works with them one punch at a time, one step at a time. And when I had him on the show, after the show was over, I said, man, I've always wanted to learn boxing. He said, oh, come on by the gym. And I said, okay. And he gave me the card. And I thought, he's not serious. I'm not going to bother him. He's not going to do it. And about 72 hours later, he called me and said, all right, it's been 3 days. You coming or what? And I said, okay. And I walked into that gym, true story, on 2 canes because I have artificial knees thanks to the Navy. And I walked in on 2 canes at 268 pounds. And he said, we're going to start you like a Parkinson's patient. We're going to go from the floor up. He said, get down on the floor. And I looked down at that floor like it was 100 miles away. I couldn't remember the last time I sat on the floor. And I said, that floor? And he said, yeah. I said, how do I get down there? He said, let me worry about that. And for 3 months, he picked me up and put me down for 3 months until I could do it myself. And the first time I put gloves on, I did 10 punches, 10. And I was like, oh, oh. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I did 10. I'm done, coach. He was like, are you insane? Well, fast forward 2 years down the road, my birthday, it was my 55th birthday. And for my 55th birthday, he wrapped my hands like a professional boxer with the mud and the whole thing. It was awesome. And then he cut them and framed them. I still have it. But we did the 10,000 punch challenge on the bags. He put counters on my wrist, and the whole team did 10,000 punches for my birthday. And we did it in 21 rounds.
Wow.
And, so it became my thing. I'm the snapping turtle with the team, and everybody cracks up about Grandma Turtle. And I just got to get back there, man. I got to get back. That's my family. So yeah, now that this COVID thing and everything is kind of becoming a part of our lives, I can't wait for it to be over anymore. I got to go back and get killed. He's going to kill me when he sees me. Yeah, he's going to kill me.
So awesome. I'm excited for you to get back in there for sure. I love to finish my show off with asking a fun question. I'm a big music guy, so I love to ask the question, like, who's a favorite band that you like to listen to, or what type of music do you listen to?
I listen to everything from country to jazz to rock and roll and on and on and on. For me, I'm a Motown kid. That's how I grew up. So pretty much anything Motown is motivating for me. And then speaking of boxing, one of the songs I used to love was the Sugar Hill Gang. I love that song. It's super long. And that's the song that I do mitt work with my boxing coach because it's super long and I hate it. So he's already playing it because I'm coming back. He's like, get ready. Get ready. So Sugar Hill Gang.
That's awesome. A fun side story. I actually used to live out in Seattle, and I lived right by the EMP. So I'd go to the EMP and drink beer all the time, just, to kind of chill out at the end of the night. And one night the Sugar Hill Gang was there eating dinner, and I got to meet them, and it was the coolest thing ever. They were the nicest guys. I saw them and I was like, that's the Sugar Hill Gang, man. I just went up to them like, man, and this is before I had a cell phone or anything. It was just like, hey, can I get you guys to sign this? Like, I just want to say you guys are awesome. And they were the coolest right in the middle of dinner. Like, yeah, no problem, man. Sign a thing for me, man. Yeah, absolute great experience to meet those guys.
That's amazing. Now I need your autograph again.
Yeah. That is awesome. Theresa, it's such an honor to have you on my show. You're an absolute world changer. I love what you got going on. I'm excited to see you again at Prosperity Camp sometime this year. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss Secret Knock this year, but I will see you at a Prosperity Camp for sure. Thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
You're gonna miss Secret Knock this year?
It is actually my wife and I's 17-year anniversary, so I cannot skip out on the anniversary
Okay, well,
to go to.
that might be a slight bit more important than. Okay,
I might not be married if I went down there and skipped the anniversary there. So
yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that. That is awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. You know, I love having you on. You got to come back onto my show, and this is just fun. And for everybody out there, all of the people that watch your show, man, you provide some amazing people and some amazing information. I hope I contributed maybe a couple of grains of sand today.
Oh, so much, so much.
Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to take a listen or a watch. It's truly an honor to be able to speak with such amazing guests, and I hope that they've made an impact on your life in some way, shape, or form. And you could do me one big favor that would be huge. Click that subscribe button, and then second favor, hit that share button. Thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you. Keep changing the world. I believe in you.